Have you ever loved something so much that you just want to make it happen every day? Me neither. This is a podcast a day. Another day, another podcast, 326. I want to say, I'm doing a podcast every day. The way that kind of rhymed makes it sound like that's the way we do this verbatim every time, which actually was kind of smooth. It's usually a lot more dysfunctional than that. What we got here? We got a couple things, a couple random things I've seen on the interweb. You could say things that have broken the internet. Remember when that was the thing people would say? I want to say made famous by Kim Kardashian's behind, if you remember the photo. And now it's just like a thing people say a lot. Like I watched, honestly, this could be an episode in its own, actually. I watched Saltburn. Yeah, I watched Saltburn for the first time yesterday. Later than this yesterday, so, freaky hours. At night, I watched it. And, it's weird. And I heard people talk about it, like, people do, like, videos on it. Like, 7 minutes long, nothing major. And all, like, non-spoilery. And, like, just saying, there's a couple moments I like, these gross out kind of shock value moments that happen from the middle to the end. And it's, like, they kind of ramp up. And it's, like, people debate over which is the worst and shit like that. So, like, I knew there was moments, pardon the pun, but coming. And then when they happened, and also, like, I knew, like, from stills and stuff I'd seen on Twitter, posted by, like, the directors and shit, even, like, people around the film were just, like, people posting memes. Like, I knew something was going to happen with a bath, something was going to happen with a grave, and that was it. And, I wasn't shocked, because I also heard a quote which was like, I don't know what scene it was, but I knew there was a certain scene where it was like we just let the cameras roll and we let Barry do his thing, and Barry just sort of went for what felt natural. So I kind of had an idea of what was going to happen. It's like gross out things are going to happen. It's some like horny movie, and there's a grave scene. Try and like figure out what's going to happen, and yeah, he fucks the grave. So I guess at the beginning of this, I'll put spoilers for Saltburn. I guess if it like is if that I don't even know what to say. I'm speechless. But it's like if that's needed, sure. I was actually enjoying it. Like I think because now I'm trying to watch more films. That wasn't like a goal I had of mine or like a New Year's resolution or anything I thought about beforehand. But within like the last week, I've made a more of a conscious effort. I watched Wonka. I've watched When You Finish Saving the World, Saltburn now. I want to watch The Holdovers. I want to watch... look, I'm going to do the cool guy thing right now. This is what makes all the friends. I could bring up my letterboxd if you want, and I was kind of looking at my letterboxd last year, and I'm not going to lie to you. Last year, I watched 7 new films. I don't rewatch films, so, like, if I'm watching a film that year, it's because I haven't seen it before. And I checked at the end of the year because everyone's doing, like, my top 20 films, and it's like I don't think I could even gather together 20, let alone have a number that exceeds 20, which would even warrant making a list for your top 20. Because if you've seen 24 films in the year, there's no point making a top 20 list. That's basically all of your films. So to have a top 20 list suggests that you've seen at least like 40, which like is, and I get it. If you like films, it's not that crazy. I like football. I've consumed a lot more than 40 football matches across the year. So like, it's not that it shouldn't be that crazy to me that if you like something, you're gonna watch a lot of it. But what's weird is that I consider myself someone who likes movies, and yet when I actually deep it, I saw 7. And when you deep, they're like probably over a third of them were like superhero films. You kind of got to look yourself in the mirror and go, who am I? What do I stand for? But no. So let me go to my lists. Because I got like a watch list and stuff, and like letterbox. So I'm thinking about it in terms of I'm watching. I'm thinking, okay, this could get as high as like a 4-star for me, 3.5 star. Like it was going up and up and up. And then like the bath thing. I think in a film like this, it's like sure. The grave thing. Even the grave thing isn't what makes it bad for me. It's just like a bit of a shock value thing. I think it's stupid. I think the character makes no sense. But the whole film has this tone that's like over the top, right? Like the way everyone talks to each other, the way everyone like reacts to things is like it's like, you know, examining a certain type of people, but like making it over the top, right? So like that's fine. It's like him humping the grave. It's like that's ridiculous, but at the same time, it's, you know, it's just really going overboard with its theme or whatever, right? Sure. It was actually like after that, like um Barry does his thing in the mud, and all I was thinking was like, it's just a still shot, but there's still like a guy just sitting behind the camera. Like, I want to know what his face looked like. If he's like locked in, if he's just sitting there like this, just sort of hand in his chin, just kind of wait, chin in his hand, just kind of. When do we cut? Type thing. Like, I don't know. I don't know how many takes that kind of thing. Like, whenever I watch a scene like that in a film, I'm just like, did like, because I saw something like it was a small set. Barry asks for a small set, and he wants to just do his thing and go where he felt or whatever. So it's just like, sure, cool. I'm just thinking about what the boom mic guy is thinking or hearing or seeing, or all of the above. Um, but you know, that happened. It was everything after that though. It was like the film just drags after that. I'm thinking, oh, this is basically done. And I've heard other people say the same things. Like, you go through the film, and like you go into the film with a kind of a low expectation because you've heard mixed things about it, and you've heard like it's maybe being a bit try hard. So you go in a little bit with a low expectation. You're then pleasantly surprised, and it kind of draws you in, and then you find yourself that you're into it, and then it goes big, and you're like, okay, I'll follow it, and then it goes bigger, and you're like, okay, and then it loses you, and then you get to the point, and I've heard so many people say this, you get to the point where you're just waiting for the film to finish, like it feels like it should finish so much earlier than it does. It just keeps going and it doesn't finish, and again, no pun intended, it just can't finish. But like, it just keeps going. It just keeps going. Like everything after that scene, basically of the grave, you're thinking, are we not 5 minutes from the end now? And like, there's this scene where like I think she's the sister character, or someone is like in the bath, um, and she's like having this whole monologue thing with Barry Keoghan's character, however you say his last name. I haven't heard him say it yet, so I don't know. And it's just like I was starting to find it cringe at that point. Like, and things have happened which are like like cringe inducing. I mean, the whole scene outside with the blood is like, ugh, okay. It feels a bit like it just feels like you can see what's gonna happen a mile off because it's trying to be like edgy or whatever. That's what that felt like. But then now she's in the bath and she's calling him like you're like a moth. I thought you was like a spider, this and that, and it's like it was coming across like really like fan fiction teen kind of cringe, like the dialogue and the way that was being delivered, and it was just going on and it wouldn't end. And I was just like, when is this film gonna end? And then here's the thing, right? Even though I was into the film at the beginning, and what was going on, and it wasn't anything like that interesting. It's just like doing a bit of like a romance thing kind of thing. Like it's not doing anything groundbreaking, but it's just doing a simple thing well at that point, right? You have these like hints that this is a bad film, like, or not a bad film, but this is a messy film, or this is gonna devolve into something, because you keep having these like inserts of like an older version of Barry, like reciting the story we're about to watch as he's sitting there with his little swooped 1950s hairstyle or whatever, and that it's just like this constant reminder, like, oh, yep, sorry, just taking me out of it. Yep, this film's gonna get to a place that's just like, what? How we get into there? So yeah, that happened, and then the film has like the film very much in a way for me mirrors Don't Worry Darling, where it just like has this rushed quick scene towards the end, which feels like it was just like, was this film going one place, and then like 2 weeks from wrapping, I was like, oh, actually, let's do this instead. They have this thing where it's like, oh, it was Agatha all along, it was Barry. Oh, like Barry was the one giving him the flat tire, so then this would happen. And Barry pretended he couldn't pay for the drink when really he could, and he was just trying to make everyone think he was this nice broke guy when he came from this nice family, and he just wanted to try and kill the whole family so he could take the mansion. And it's like I don't need to see these flashback scenes. Like, once it became revealed that's what he's doing, right? Trying to pick them all off one by one. I don't need to see the flashback scenes of him doing that stuff to be like, oh, like I feel like they was flashing back as if like this is something really clever. Like the mum walking into a cafe and Barry is pretending to type on a computer when really he's just putting in like just typing in random letters. Like that's not it. Would it matter if he was just surfing the internet or just on YouTube or typing something like a role essay or a fake thing? Like that's not a clever. That's just so like silly. Sure, whatever. And it mirrors it in Don't Worry Darling for me, because all of a sudden at the end you get this whole thing where it's like it just cuts through all these scenes, and Harry Styles is an incel and he went for this thing, and that's why he put her in the thing. It just you get this whole thing thrown on you. It's just like, sure, I think you think I was meant to find this cool or like whatever, but it's just like because it's not like you watch something. It's not like a film where you watch it again, and you go, oh yeah, you can see that I actually hid this thing, or actually hid this thing there, but you'd never notice it on the first watch. It's just like, no, just watching a character act one way. At the end, he's acting completely differently, and they go back and say, well, he was always like this, and it was a big plan. But there's nothing showing that in the first half. It's just, no, he's just a different person. So that's where actually for me, I'm just like, okay, you've completely lost me. And then he's sitting there, and then he pulls the thing out of her mouth, and it's just like, and then Barry dance around the whole mansion empty while Murder on the Dance Floor plays, completely naked, with his todger out, and then the film ends. And it's like I just feel like you have an actor who probably wants to always push it to the limit, and you got a director who's the same. And I was just making this film. We want to go bigger. We want to go bigger, and they got to the last 20 minutes, and it just became this messy kind of like, you know, display like no streamers. We're going crazy, and it's just kind of it's like, you know, when you hear like to an unmusical ear, you could go to a music show and you could hear like a drum solo or whatever, and you're watching it, and it's like boom 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 boom, and then it's like, okay, oh, this is crazy, and he's like, oh, he's freestyling, he's doing this little solo, and it always gets to the end, and then it just sounds like noise, nothingness, and they think they're rocking out and they're going crazy, but to anyone else, who, like to the artists involved, it's like, yeah, I'm doing my solo, and now it's the big thing in the end, I'm just going crazy with it, and they're loving it, but like, to most people watching it, it's like that end 15 seconds of it is just when it's just like a droned out mess type thing of them just trying to go big and crazy, and so he's kind of just lost whatever it was going for type thing. You hear it like in jazz music and shit a lot. That's just kind of how I kind of felt with it. The film, you see a lot of Barry Keoghan in it, more than you maybe bargained for, so just be warned. Yeah, Saltburn. That wasn't even on my list of anything to talk about. I was gonna talk about what was it? Why did I start to speaking about Saltburn? I don't know. I was meant to be speaking about something completely different, but then I remembered I watched Saltburn, and I was like, I can't pass up the opportunity to talk about Saltburn. It's just, but I at least gave it like a 3 stars though. Which, by the way, I don't like star ratings. I much prefer a 1 to 10 scale with decimal points if possible. Don't like stars. But you got to use stars on this, so I gave it like a 3. I don't even know what that would translate to for me in terms of numbers, or even if I would have a translation for it. But out of the 5-star options, 3 felt acceptable to me. And you can do half stars; it just doesn't work in this out anyway. Because at least it's like it has got good moments in it. Still, every acting performance is good, every single one, and it's at least fun to talk about. It's at least interesting, like. There's some other films that are like technically well made and good, but like after I watch them, say, okay, yeah, I'll watch that. I'm looking now. I gave May December 2.5 stars, which feels harsh looking back, but I was just bored really. Like, and what can I say? It's like I know it's like good or whatever, and it's like made well, and the score's decent, and all the acting's decent, but like it's like vague. It's like, yeah, it's kind of interesting, but I was just kind of bored, if I'm just being honest. Just kind of bored, and if I mean it's just a personal thing, I'm just kind of bored. And that's how I just feel like most of these. That wasn't nominated or anything for the Oscars, but I just feel like most of these films, when these people say, people were outraged Margot Robbie didn't get nominated, and then all of the big Oscar fans were saying you probably didn't even watch the other performances, you probably didn't see the other films. And it's like they're not wrong. They're not wrong. I didn't see Anatomy of a Fall or so I can't even remember what it's called. Society of the Snow. And it's like, fine. I don't want to watch them, but fine, you're going to force me to watch them. Fine, I'll watch them, and I'm going to come to the conclusion, 99% sure, which is, yep, that was really well made with some good acting performances. I found it You know, I can just tell from a trailer 9 times out of 10 if something's gonna appeal to me. It's like so many films that are nominated. It's like, yeah, that's well made. That's a good thing. But you know, it, bored. Don't care. Not for me. But yeah, I spent this whole time talking about Saltburn. That's fine. That's groovy actually. Also, well, I think actually maybe one of them are interesting. I mean, all the characters are pretty good and pretty fun. Um, but Archie, oh, what's his name? Archie, because Chelsea have a footballer called Noni Madueke. So that's what names come into my head, and his name's similar to that, but it ain't that. It's like Archie Madekwe, Madekwe. I think it's Madekwe. I can't remember, but he's one of these actors similar to Harris Dickinson, who, for me, bursted just has like burst onto the scene like the last 6 months. Is in a bunch of shit, and then all of a sudden now I've noticed him in shit. I'm seeing like old films, or not old films, but films that came out like a few years ago. I'm noticing, wait, he was in that. He was here. He was there. All of a sudden he's popped up everywhere. Like he was always there, but now all of a sudden it seems like he's just everywhere. And Harris Dickinson was the same. Like been in so much shit and like kind of been around it, and he's like good and he's like in shit, and now he's really having his moment. But like he's been around a bit, and you just don't. He was just like in stuff, but you just never recognized him or never seen him, or he was just like a bit pop there in the shit, and then now he's just now you notice it, and he's pretty good. Archie Madekwe. Why did I go to say his name again when I don't know it? So I'm gonna. I mean, this sounds like a sort of hit list kind of kill thing. What I'm about to say, I'm gonna add him to the ones to watch list. You know, check out films he's in. He'll join the list with Will Poulter and Cillian Murphy and Charlemagne and fucking who else? I don't know. I can't even. Adam Driver. Quite like Adam Driver. Um, Probably more. It's probably more. I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, that's all. I mean, Saoirse Ronan. She's got a film in Sundance at the moment. Not Sundance. Is it Sundance? Cannes? One of those ones that are happening right now. One of them film festivals. Apparently it's a doze. I don't know. But yeah, that's all. 326, I think. So I'll see you in 327.